Heyo, and welcome back to another episode of The Dribble, the show where we take a closer look into the Boston Celtics, the rest of the NBA, and whatever else might come up. I am Luke Irwin, and I am currently your host. We have a great episode lined up. Of course, the Boston Celtics are up 2-0 to the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. Yes, our Boston Celtics are 2 wins away from Banner 18, but let's take a page out of Kobe Bryant's book and understand that job's not finished. Job's not finished, is it? Job's not finished, right? So 2 more games left, 2 more wins, but there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot that went into the 2 wins that we had, a lot of things that could have gone differently, and a lot of things to look forward to get those 2 other wins. No matter how many games it takes, you got to get those 2 wins. So we are going to talk about that. We're obviously going to bring in, you already know, Timmy, KGB, a.k.a. T-Bone Steak, extra rare, no hollandaise, and we're going to bring in the third brother, the third blind mice, Wacky Mackey, a.k.a. Big Max is what I'm calling him these days. Big Max is going to be coming in. We're going to be talking about the Dallas Mavericks versus the Boston Celtics. Game 2, we'll be recapping it, what we saw, and what we want to look forward to in Game 3, and as we try to close this series out and get Banner 18 hanging in those rafters. So, yeah, there's so much to talk about. And personally, I suggest we do. Because this, well, golly, this is the dribble. Timmy. Heyo, Timmy, what is up, dude? How are you doing?
I'm feeling after a game 2 win, baby.
Big game 2 win. And we are going to bring in our brother, Big Max, for the whole breakdown of game 2 and looking forward to game 3 and a couple other things that we're going to dive into. But first, the people's ears, they're dying, they're burning to hear our major wager picks. Obviously, last week, both of us lost, unfortunately. So we're at the same margin.
Last couple weeks, we've just been
losing. And for everybody out there, like maybe mirroring our picks, I know you're feeling bad. You've lost your mortgage.
Don't do it.
Put a second mortgage on the house. But just understand, these next week's picks are next level.
Those are the good ones. Those are like the Glengarry leads. You know what I'm talking about? Like the Glengarry leads. These are the ones you really want. Always be gambling. ABG.
Always be ABG. You know what they say? ABG, always be gambling and sometimes be losing. Because that's part of the game. You gotta spend money to make money. Don't you know that's economics 101? You gotta spend money to make money.
Right there. That's econ.
That's econ 101. If you don't know, this is a free business lesson. But look, we're going to do 2 bets today because A, I'm deep in the water after losing yet another bet. But B, the season's coming to a close. We want to juice this for everything we have. So we're going to do 2 bets. We're going to do game 3 bets, both of us, right? Our single bets, the standard major wager. And then we're also going to do finals MVP. And you might be wondering, Luke, why are we doing finals MVP at a point where the finals are 2 games in? It's because we're more ambiguous now than we've ever been with finals MVP. We don't know who's going to win.
A little tight. Yeah, they're getting tighter together.
Let's go ahead and start with just our game bets. Tim, I'm going to swing it to you. Let's do this quick so we can get Max in the combo.
So game 3, going back to Dallas, obviously the line is Dallas is favored by 1.5 points, which surprised me a little bit. I understand the logic there. People think is Dallas really going to go down 0-3? Yes, they are. So my pick will be this line jumped out to me. The Celtics should be favored in this game. I really believe that. Especially because this is not a team that benefits overly from home court. This is a team that really tends to play at least as well on the road. So we were 7-point favorites, 7.5-point favorites in the last game. We're suddenly almost 2-point underdogs. I don't get it. So I am going to bet the Boston Celtics plus 1.5. I'm not going to bet the money line, just the plus.
Mm-hmm.
Just take that point. Why not, right? With I'm not learning from my past mistakes. Jason Tatum over 25 points. That's an alternate spread, 25 points.
Okay.
Uh, I just like he's gotta, right?
He's
I mean,
gotta.
he's at 16, he's at 18. He's inching his way up. But like I lost on my bet last week because of the Jason Tatum 20. I said 20 plus. He couldn't get that. So hopefully he gets it this time. So again, Boston Celtics plus 1.5. Tatum 25 plus points. Those two together are plus 174. I'm going to bet 100 on that for 274. So
Well, I have a lot
that's
of feelings about that. That's a great bet. That's a safe bet. But when I say safe,
pretty safe. Yeah.
I don't mean it's a bad bet. It's a really good bet. That's a good bet. Um, we're gonna talk later in the episode about Jason Tatum and what we expect from him and what we've seen from him so far. We have a lot in this episode, everybody. Very juicy episode headed forward. But my pick is I'm doing another 3-leg parlay because as I've been losing these bets, it's not because of the last leg. It's because of 2 of the 3 legs. So eventually one of these 3 legs has to hit. And I'm going heavy on my boy JT. Okay. Look, Jason Tatum in game threes this playoffs has averaged 30, 11, and 7. That's pretty elite. That's pretty incredible. And if you remember a few weeks ago, when asked when he had his best game of the postseason, scoring 36, 13, and 9 or whatever it was, he said game threes are my favorite. You get away from everything. You feel like you just play basketball. You feel like you're in a different arena, a different place. And he said that he almost feels like his back is against the wall because he expects them to come out so hard. There's no pressure of home court and all this stuff. So I expect him to have a big game. I have Jason Tatum over 41 and a half points, rebounds, and assists. Now, I did that last week. I lost that bet, or last game. I lost that bet. He had only 18 points. He had 12 assists and he had 9 rebounds, a near triple double, which 18 plus 12 is 30, plus 9 is 39. He had 39, which was the same number, 41 and a half. It's only 2.5 or 3.5 short.
Yeah, you must have been sweating that. A couple
I
of
was
those
sweating it.
block dunks.
2.5 short, by the way. My math was wrong there for a second. That's only 2.5 short. So if he had one of those threes where he easily would have hit those, he would have crossed 41 and a half. So I have him over 41 and a half. I believe in him. I think this is going to be the JT game. It's going to be a breakout game for him. So speaking of that, why not add another leg? If he's going to score that much and have that much total, he's going to have over 2.5 threes for JT. His line is 2.5 threes. I have JT, Jason Tatum over 2.5 threes. And then finally, I don't know how I feel about this third leg, but who feels good about a third leg? Luka Doncic under 52.5 total points, rebounds, and assists.
Pretty high line.
It's a high line. That's why I'm doing it. If you think about it, that's 50 is 30, 10, and 10. So that's mine. That has an odds of plus 450. I am putting down 100. So I would get 550 in return. Plus my Celtics in 5 prediction that I made last week, which would give me an additional 500 and take 500 from you. So I am on the way. I have a plan.
Too bad the Celtics are going to sweep.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. All right. So those are our game picks. Let's real quickly, and then let's bring Big Max in here. But we're going to do our finals MVP odds, right? Why not? 2 games in. It could be Drew. It could be Tatum. It could be Brown. It could be Porzingis. It could be Luka. It's definitely not Kyrie. Who is it, Timmy? Who do you think?
So I'm looking at these odds. Let's just say them first. Tatum is plus 125 on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Brown is plus 175.
Mm-hmm.
Luka is plus 600. Drew Holiday is plus 750. Porzingis is plus 4,000. So then it gets, Derek White, 5,000. So I did in real life bet Drew Holiday to win Finals MVP.
You did?
way bigger odds before the series started. So
Wait, wow. What were the odds when it started?
I sprinkled literally $10 on it to win $1,000. I mean,
Wow,
like, so
amazing.
I don't think he's gonna win it. Of these, I think the Celtics are gonna win the series. Doncic is not gonna win if we win the series handily. I like I still like Tatum. Isn't that crazy? I still like Tatum here. I really do. I mean, I want to go with Jalen. I really do think that Tatum is going to have one signature game. It's going to justify some of the lower scoring games,
Hmm.
and it'll be enough because I feel like voters want to give it to Tatum. So I still am going to roll with the Tatum plus 125. Um, do we have a set amount we're going to put on this, or is it just?
No, no, because we have odds on it, it's whatever you want to put.
I'm just going to put another 100 on it.
100 on it. I like it. I like it.
What do you
Well,
think, Luke? Do you think Tatum's going to win this thing?
well, here's the deal. Looking at what we have, obviously he's the highest odds. Obviously he's my favorite player. Obviously I think that he has an MJ Kobe like career that could happen in front of him. I think he is just that good. I love this man. However, looking at Drew,
Yeah,
he could
give me
very
the
well
long
be
odds.
the MVP. And if he won MVP, I would be so happy. But I also have Tatum. Come on. You know I'm putting Tatum on this. I also have Tatum plus 125, but I'm putting $118.
Okay.
118. You know why that 18 is there, Tim? Don't even say it out loud. But you know why I put that 18.
I know it. I don't have to say it. I got
You
you.
don't have to say it, but everybody out there knows why it's 118. But yeah, I have Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, 118. I've said it earlier. That's why my bet was there. He's going to have a monster game three. I think he's going to have a good game three. I think Celtics lose a close one in Dallas or game four. Sorry. Celtics lose a close one in game four, but I think he still has a good game four. And then I think he closes it out at home with a signature performance, leading him to finals MVP. And look, even if he doesn't have these huge 30, 40 point games, he is almost averaging a triple double. Do you know if he averages regular rebounds, points, and 13 assists, if he has 13 assists next game, he will average a triple double. And there has never been somebody in the NBA who has averaged a triple double in the finals. He is close to it.
Pretty crazy.
Currently, he
Yeah.
averages 17, 10, and 8.5.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That's pretty crazy. That is close to a triple double. And
Would
if he
love to
can,
see the ball go in the hoop, but yeah, no, yeah, I think that it's a good bet because you figure that in Dallas, Tatum's going to have a couple big outbursts, and he has historically in the playoffs. I mean that it just feels like it's the safest bet. I feel like they're some of the Vegas odds are trying to sucker us into going, we're going off Tatum, we're going on to Brown, we're going on to Holiday. I mean, I'm glad I put that Holiday bet in on the off chance that Holiday does win it because that's cool and everything. But
and it could hit.
yeah, I was excited last game. I was like, whoa, I did that to throw away $10, but now okay. So we'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well, let's not see any further. Let's bring in the other brother, the third blind mice, the third amigo, Max, Big Max. Let's bring him in right now. With no further ado, let's go ahead and hype him up. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. His name is Big Max. Guys, look who's up
Lukey.
2-0 in the NBA Finals. What
Who
is
is
up?
it? Is it
Oh,
the Mavs?
Tim. Timmy's got the defeat Dallas. Lucky
Yes.
riding
Fresh
riding
off the
the
presses.
Maverick. What's up, guys? For everybody listening, we have both Timmy KGB and Big Max in the building. Both brothers on the pod right now discussing game two victory. And then we're also going to look forward to game three, what we expect, what we think is going to happen, and then maybe foreshadow a little bit as the series goes on. But guys, how are we feeling? Up 2-0.
Feeling great. I mean, couldn't be feeling better. You can't win more than 2 out of 2 games. So, pretty
That
much
is
as good as
true.
it can go.
That is true.
Yeah.
Timmy, how you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling awesome, dude. You know it. I mean, Max and I watched together game two, and is kind of surreal. I feel like this was, I don't, not to launch directly into it, but like, I don't know, Celtics 25% from three, Tatum 6 for 22, Luka 32-point triple
All
double.
right,
Like,
all right. You're taking all the cake.
but I'm just saying, like, this was a game I was pretty sure we were going to lose, and we won, and I just really feel like, uh, yeah, this was just a great team win.
Well, I was gonna push to you and give you an opportunity to give a classic quote. I was gonna say, Tim, you don't seem happy. You're up 2-0. Why not? But you missed the opportunity, and I'm gonna swing it to Max. Max, we're up 2-0. What did you see in this game, right? Like, what did you see that kind of separated? Because it was a little bit of the same identity, but it was a little bit different. Obviously, there were different factors that happened. So, what did you see in this game that kind of stood out?
So I think the biggest thing that stood out to me is Joe Mazzulla's coaching. Game one, a lot of things went right, and it's very easy for a team to buy in, stick to the plan, not panic when things are going right. But when suddenly you're shooting terribly and you're still being told to jack up all these threes, you're still being told to trust the process and everything, being told as Luka's just going off in the first quarter, like, it's okay. We're just going to leave him there. Like, every once in a while, we'll flash a double just to like keep him honest a little bit. But just the idea that everybody is without thinking, just continually buying into this, and just everybody knows their roles so well by now that nobody's really thinking twice about what they have to do. So I think on and off the court, with everything, all the drama that Jason Kidd's trying to bring up and the way that Joe's just kind of like squashing that down, I'm just very impressed for a second year coach, just the way that he's handling himself in this moment, and especially in comparison to a guy like Jason Kidd that everybody thinks is going to be so much more accustomed to this sort of environment.
Well,
So
you
yeah,
said it. Second year coach, but people used to call him second row Joe. Second row Joe no mo. He's first row Joe, second year coach, and he's been great, Max. I agree. He's been absolutely he has the guys on this, like, I hate to use this word on a podcast, but he has the guys on a vibration. There's a vibration in the locker room, which Brad Stevens, we always talked about this, was never able to kind of captivate with the team. Like, it always seemed like he had just a kind of a disconnect with the guys. He wasn't able to really connect with them like that. And Ime felt like he had that, right? There, it felt like we finally had that. But obviously things did not work out there. And then it was up in the air last year. Can Joe actually, he kind of seems weird. His press conference quotes are like hella philosophical and just like weird. They're like, they have nothing to do with basketball. They have everything to do with like manhood and humanity. And then like,
or the
and
town.
then it's weird. And then all of a sudden this year, it's paying off and we have everybody contributing. Tim, what about you? Like, what to you in game two? Because like you said, it seemed like we could have dropped this game. What to you stood out to get a W that, although Luka went off, it didn't feel like it was in the balance. It felt like we had it in the bag. I wasn't nervous at any point.
Yeah, first of all, to Max's point and to what we just said, Joe is so weird.
So weird.
Let's just name that. Like, I believe that Drew called him crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was the word that Holiday used. He said, no, Joe's crazy.
He's not
Like,
lying.
crazy. He's not
He's
lying.
not.
And I think that he may be, but it's weird. Like, you compared him to Brad, and like we compared him to Ime. He might be the perfect guy for this group, which is kind of a weird group. But I agree with you, Max. I think we stuck to the game plan really well, and there were a couple moments where, and again, we were watching it together where we were both saying, no, don't do that. We were double Luka, and Luka would make the right play, and we had that one lively lob that I was like, you know what, that's what we prevented in game one. But for the most part, we really stuck to the script of making them, especially Luka and Kyrie, make difficult shots. Um, I mean, so there's a lot of things in this game that stuck out to me though. Like, how did we win despite the fact that, as I said, like, we shot really poorly from three? Luka had like
25.
a really big triple double. Tatum, we'll talk about his game as I'm sure we'll dwell on it, but just from a shooting perspective, Tatum was very weak. He was 6 for 22 tonight. He's been really bad all series from shooting the ball. Only he's shooting like 31% from the two, and or overall, and 28% from three. So really, really struggling again, as he has it at times this postseason. I feel like the differentiator last night was poise. The Celtics felt really controlled and poised to me in this game, and a lot of that was funneled through Drew Holiday, who obviously was the player of the game.
Yeah,
Drew
easily.
Drew was fantastic, right? What did he have? Drew was 26 points, 3 assists, 11 rebounds. Um, Most of those 26 points were just hovering in the dunker spot and sort of waiting for mostly as Tatum assists and getting those little easy ones. Opportunistic offense. But I really felt like Drew led the charge in terms of just like the maturity and poise to win a game that statistically we probably should have lost.
Yeah.
He led the charge. If
Yeah.
not for him in that first half, we would have been trailing maybe by double digits going into the second half because Tatum really was struggling early. Brown didn't get going until a little bit later. White didn't get going until like the fourth quarter. Drew and Porzingis, really both of them were the only two consistent sort of sources of offense. So yeah, I just thought this was a big boy win. This was
It
like a
was.
sloppy game. It was weirdly paced. There was like a challenge early. There were like too many timeouts in the first quarter. I thought the refs like impacted the game in a negative way.
Terrible
Yeah.
challenge by
It,
Jason Kidd, by the way.
oh,
Just
so bad.
so
Yeah.
early, and even if they had won it, Derek White got clear possession on that play, so it would have been a Celtics ball
It's
regardless.
just why. Yeah.
I
But it
have
was
no
just
idea why he
choppy.
challenged that.
It was the kind of game where it's like it's choppy. We came out a little cold, and Luca and Kyrie, he didn't have a good game, but Kyrie looked good in the first quarter. The two of them were sort of like in their bag and like hitting like difficult shots. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be tough. And then little by little, we sort of stabilized and ended up, obviously winning the game. So I thought we exhibited a lot of maturity and poise here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Mavs cut it to 98-103, a 5-point game with about 2 minutes to go, minute and a half to go. And look, we've been talking about on this pod and we've been listening to it. And if you're a Celtics fan, you've been watching the games, we've been seeing it. This team, when put in that situation, it's almost like a guaranteed loss. Like we think about it like, oh my God, here it goes again. We're gonna lose late. But it didn't feel that way, and it hasn't felt that way. And you're right. It's Drew, it's Derek White, it's Tatum's. Again, we will talk more about him, but it's Tatum's like ability and his patience to allow it to not be him. He's not calling for the ball, and some people would be like, "Why isn't Tatum calling for the ball?" It's like because he understands who he has on his team, and like most NBA teams have some guy, especially the Mavericks, where it's in that late situation. They're going, how do we screen to get the ball to Luka? We are going, the ball can end up in anybody's hands and it can be anybody's night, any given night. And so far we've seen, I think it's safe to say game one was Porzingis game, right? That's the Porzingis game. He comes out off an injury, gives us this huge boost in the first quarter, gives us a cushion. Mavs make a surge back in the third quarter, cut it to 8, but we end up ballooning it back up. But without that Porzingis play, getting the crowd going, it really like set the tone for the finals. Game one was Porzingis game. Game two is obviously Drew Holiday game. Are the Celtics gonna win in 5? Max, I'm gonna push this question to you. Are the Celtics gonna win in 5 and have just each game be a blank game? Porzingis game, Drew game, Tatum game, Brown
Well, that's
game.
the design of the team. I mean, that's
Exactly.
the way the team is constructed.
Yeah.
It's designed with the idea of Tatum can shoot 29% from three and be okay. I mean, what did he shoot yesterday? He shot like worse than that. He shot 14% from three yesterday.
Yeah, real bad.
And we can win just because we have so many guys that can step up. And it was the argument that was made against our team is like we lose all the close games. The Mavs always win a close game if they're anywhere near it in the fourth quarter. Basically, it was like a foregone conclusion that they're going to win that game. So the idea that like now that we're here and you do have to play full games at the end of the season and everybody is quite tired, like, well, the less that each guy has to carry that load every game, the better you're going to be. And I just think there's a good chance that, I mean, we haven't seen White's best game by far. We have definitely not seen Tatum's best game. And I think
No.
Brown has another level he can go to that he went to in the last series because he's
Yeah.
been good, but he hasn't been transcendent.
No, he's
yet.
scored
He's playing the
22
best
or
basketball of his life.
yeah, he scored 22
Yeah.
and 21. I mean, Brown has been what we expect from Brown. He's been the regular season Brown, essentially. He's been consistent. He's been shooting the ball better. But like I think that it is interesting. There is a scenario where, like I said, we have Porzingis with game one. We've Drew with game two. I have a lot of thoughts on Tatum in game three. And then like it could easily be Derek White game four, and it could be Jaylen Brown caps it off with a huge performance in game five. We win, and it's like, who do you give the MVP to? Maybe Brad Stevens. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I know, right?
Well, I mean, speaking of Brad, I mean, like, think about just what we said earlier. Like, Drew and Porzingis have been difference makers in this series to the extent that I'm not sure we'd be up. I'm not sure we would have won a game yet if not for the two of them. They have been so good, and they're obviously the two new additions. Yeah. Um, yeah, I want to stay on Brown for a second though, because we almost I felt like I re-listening to the pod last week, we sort of glossed over him because you just said, Luke, we sort of expect this from Brown, right? Like he had, low 20s. What do you have, 22 tonight? Yeah,
20.
21.
21, yeah.
21 tonight, I think 22 the previous game. Uh, you know, it's funny because, and not to like be Jason Kidd and be like, well, Jaylen Brown our best player. That's not what I'm doing. Obviously, we know he's not. Jason Tatum's our best player. But what Jaylen Brown has become in this postseason is our best bucket getter. Would you agree with that? I mean, like, he just is. I mean,
in this series, certainly
not this series. This whole postseason.
I mean, sorry, I meant in this postseason, certainly. Yeah.
Hey, and again, like we know we watch these games, but like just in the playoffs, Jaylen Brown has been the reliable bucket. Like if things go sideways, if things look a little wonky, let's say the defense breaks down, whatever, it's Jaylen Brown who is forcing the issue and usually converting. Like there was this one play, and I don't exactly know when it was, but I feel it was late third quarter. And Jaylen Brown just drove, ducked down. I think it was Lively, went over his head and just calmly put it away. And I was like, man, the Jaylen Brown from last year or 2 years ago would have forced that, tried to dunk it, maybe gotten blocked, maybe turned it over. I really just feel like he deserves a lot more credit than even we who love him have been giving him, because like every time the Celtics need a basket, every time it feels like it's stagnant, it seems like it's Jaylen Brown exploiting a mismatch or just going at the hole or whatever. And I thought he was great in this game.
You said the word poised. He is become such a poised offensive player. And I think this is a good transition because look, we at the Dribble, we're not here to stir up any kind of drama. We don't want to stir up any drama. However, it is a team and 5 to 8 players play most of the games. And we have had a prolific best player forever. And so when you have a team that is such a team and you have a best player who's willing to share the ball, you get a lot of opportunities for other players. So he plays in a way where if we could merge Jason Tatum's like physical ability, his talent, with Jaylen Brown's mindset and instinct, we would create the greatest player maybe of all time. But I
don't really think there's anything lacking in JB's, physical, ability.
Look, Jason Tatum from out of high school has been considered. He averaged. There is like an innate talent that JT is that JB has not been. JB has built himself up to be who he is, which is part of the mentality that we wish Tatum had a little bit more of. And I do want to talk about Tatum because I'm hot on this issue. Everybody here who listens to the Dribble knows that I love Jason Tatum. He's my favorite player, but I am very hard on Jason Tatum because I want him and I believe in him. I believe that he can be what he should be. For example, what he should be is last night, he has the 12 assists. He's moving the ball when he's double teamed, when he drives and there's triple team, double team, and he moves the ball. He especially is really good this year in interior passing, way better than he's been in previous years. And he obviously gets rebounds. He guards the centers. He guards the power forwards on the other team. He's long. He's strong on this team. His ability to sacrifice has been great. If he just hits like 5 more shots last night, which wouldn't even be a ton, that'd be 11 for 22, which would be 50%. Let's say 4 more shots. That's under 50%. He walks out of that game with 25, 26, but it's not about making the shots or missing the shots. It's not, because I've been loving his lines. It is about his attitude in the game. He looks disconnected. He doesn't look like he's emotionally invested, down to the little things of like when the whistle gets blown and he goes to high five Drew or whoever. He's not looking at them in the eye. He's like, he is distracted, not distracted, but he's like, he's just disconnected. That's the best way to say it. And you know, watching him, there were plays last night and plays in game one and plays, God forbid, all throughout the 2022 NBA finals where he just looked like he was unsure of what he wanted to do with the ball. Like he would get the ball and be unsure. And today, admittedly, during my lunch break at work, because yes, I'm a full-time dribbler, but I am also a guy who has to work a 9 to 5. During my lunch break at work today, I was like, am I going insane? Or is this who he always is? And I went back and watched 2023, 2024 highlights from Jason Tatum through the regular season. And my goodness, as Tatum would say, golly, which he said in his post-game presser when asked about his shooting percentage, he is a different player. There's something missing. He is so decisive in the regular season. He is so decisive on these games where he was just prolifically putting up 30 points per game, 7 and 7. And it is an attack mode. It is a get off me mode. It is like he's talking to fans in these highlights. He is flexing. He's pounding his chest. And we see him in these, even when he makes a three. This is one thing that stands out with me. And then I'm going to push it on to YouTube. But when he made a three in game two, instead of being like, yeah, or like he does the kiss to the three to the crowd, he would do this exhausted, like, oh, finally it went in. Like you can see his head bobbing around, like he's like,
you finally,
well, that one went in, but I guess the rest aren't. Like it's like this really apathetic and, oh, poor me, I'm shooting poorly. And even his layups, when he goes up for them, instead of just putting them to the glass and in, he like does a weird like hook and swoop and makes it way more difficult. And he missed about 4 layups.
There was a whole thing in the 2022 finals.
And exactly. And it's the same thing. And somebody said this in I play a lot of open gym LA Fitness basketball, and somebody said this about a player who was out there, and sadly it reminded me of JT in these moments. They said he looks like he's wearing shoes one size too big, like just uncomfortable, making the wrong step, making the wrong, not even wrong, just indecisive basketball move, especially on the offense. However, credit to him dishing the ball out, grabbing the rebounds. He has been playing excellent defense. He's had a couple steals, blocks. He does play great, and he's been unselfish. But like just the offensive like production that he could be having, we could be watching a Celtic right now having an all-time great career. And that's why I'm upset about it. We're missing out on like serious greatness. He could be averaging 30, 10, and 8 in this finals, just if he made some layups and a couple open threes, but he shooketh. So I'll move
as they say, as they say, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. Like
exactly,
you have to do it. But anyway, Max, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very simple. Everybody else is playing the game like they know exactly what they're supposed to do. Or in Jaylen Brown's case, if he doesn't know exactly where he's going with it, he knows every time he's about to take a jab step forward to get his guy. Because when Jaylen Brown's coming at you, like you're gonna back up. Like it's not really the guy you want to get in the way. So he'll create some space and some time. Tatum will have time and will wait to decide what to do with it. And it's like, so by the time he decides to shoot it, it's too late. Or then somebody comes out on him and it's like, okay, now's your chance to drive. Now that they're running at you. And it's like, well, now I'm going to like pass it or spin or something. And it's like, this is the only bad decision. I will say, again, like it could be a lot worse. We've seen him disappear. That's the only thing we can't have. He's being very effective in other ways of the game, and we're winning because of that. I mean, if he was just totally disappearing, we wouldn't have won either of these games. I fully believe that. I just think maybe I don't think it's like the lights are too bright necessarily. I just think he's an emotional player. Like when he's sort of in his feelings and clearly feeling insecure about the way his shot's not going down and everything, he just isn't the same guy, as opposed to I think JB, every time his shot isn't falling, the next shot that goes up, he's like, boom, that's in. It's like, and it's not maybe, but it's like he
Look,
always feels confident.
here I'm gonna just bookend what I just said because like I said, I'm the biggest JT fan. That's why I'm upset about it. But I'm not upset about it because he's been playing team ball and we're up 2-0 and we look amazing. Like if we played like this for every game and Tatum averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists, I'd be as happy as a clam because there's no better place to be than and watch your team play like good, true Celtic basketball. This is who the Celtics were in the 50s and 60s when they were winning. This is who the Celtics were in the 80s when they were winning. This is who the Celtics were in the 2007-2008 season. I mean, Paul Pierce was amazing, but it's not like he was some prolific 30-point per game scorer. He was also a team guy. But game 3, mark my words, Jason Christopher Tatum is going to go off. He has said in press conferences before that game 3 is his favorite game to play. He likes his back against the wall on the road. And in game 3's this postseason alone, he averages 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists. That's pretty damn good. And I'm telling you, away from the lights of like, I have to perform in Boston. I think it's like that simple with him. I think he gets messed up. I think he's going to go into Dallas and he's going to get that dog back in him. And I think we're going to see him do those turn to the crowd things that we've seen him do all regular season. I think he's going to find basketball again. I think he's going to go away from media and he's going to find basketball again in Dallas. And he's going to have a fantastic game 3, putting us up 3-0. And then here's just a random prediction. We're going to split them there. We're coming back to TD Garden game 5 and winning Larry O'Brien. That's my prediction. That was obviously my first pick in the draft. Celtics in 5. Tim's getting nervous. What do you think, Timmy?
I believe I drafted the sweep, so I mean,
that's what I want. Game 4, I'm just banking on another good game by the Celtics, but Luka bails them out.
Yeah, I want to talk about Tatum a little bit too because I agree with everything that you guys have said. This is one of the most paradoxical Tatum performances and I watched it over because as we pointed out, like on the one hand, he's making the right reads on a lot of these plays. We're watching him, drive and pass, and pass. And so you're going, oh man, Tatum, you got to take over at a certain point. But we earlier praised Drew Holiday as having this great offensive output. That does not happen without Tatum playing the way he's playing.
Exactly. Yes.
They're inextricable. Holiday, I didn't look this up. I should have, but like how many Holiday baskets were not assisted by Tatum? I don't know. And that's to take nothing away from Drew. He had a great night, but it really felt like he was making the right reads and I would argue he positively impacted this game, which is weird to say because I also think he had a bad game. So like, it's weird to say that those two things are both true. Like, I think that Tatum had like an observably bad game. If you watch the game, you're like, what's he doing here? As you pointed out, why doesn't he shoot that? He had so much hesitation on those threes.
On those threes, it was a catch and shoot 3, and he would catch it and like that end of the quarter or the half.
Not a catch and shoot 3.
It was out to him, and I turned away from my TV. I went, "Yep, that's a 3," and I turned away. And then I had to look back because I was watching with a friend of mine, a friend of all of ours, Bryce. Shout out to Bryce. Bryce listens to this podcast. What up, Bryce? Wearing a Kyrie Irving Celtics jersey, by the way, while we were watching, which I thought was some bad sage. But again, for Tim, bad sage guy, he needs a new sage guy. Does not work. But I was like, yep, that's in, turned away. And then I heard more squeaking of shoes on the floor. And I was like, wait, what? And turned around and realized he was trying to do some weird stuff in the paint.
Well, yeah, and that speaks to what you had said before, you both had said, which is the indecision. Because when Tatum passes up a shot, he's so good that it's usually for a better shot. You're like, okay. But there were a lot of moments in this game where he passed up a really good shot by Jason Tatum, who's supposedly like a top 5, 6, 7 player in the league, or a worse shot by a worse player. And so we can praise him for, I do think, like honestly, I think it'd be hard to make the argument he did not have a positive impact on this game because the attention he draws, the passes he was able to make, that is all positive, and we won. We're up. We won 2 games in the finals. The dude has not reached 20.
I think
I mean, he averaged 30 a year ago. So
yeah.
it just feels to me like it's this paradoxical thing where you're going, well, he's not playing well, and the shooting is bad. The shooting needs to change. Like the game is about getting the ball in the hole, and he can't do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I think
he's making a positive.
Yeah, I saw a great stat on this, exactly what you're talking about. Because again, I'm just talking about that it's not about making or missing shots. He's impacted the game positively. It's about the dog. It's about the mentality. Even when he did hit that 3 with 5 minutes in the fourth, right? Or 6 minutes in the fourth, whatever it was. He like did that thing where he was like, "Oh God, finally!"
Yeah, he's like the sad boy. He's like
sad boy, sad boy.
You know what's a little bit like? It's a little bit like Paul Rudd when he's picking up the utensil.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh God, he's like, I made it finally. And then he runs down, and then like it's a timeout, and I see everybody like talking to each other, and he's like walking back, not talking to anybody. And I'm like, dude, that's just not who he's been. So I did see, to your thing about positive impact, I saw a stat. I can't remember the exact number, so don't crucify me, listeners, if I've ruined the stat, but it's something it's either 41.3 or 43.1. My dyslexia that is switching that number, but like 43.1 or 41.3% of the shots or of the points that the Celtics had, Tatum either scored or assisted on. So
in this game,
in this game, 40, I think it was about 40. Let's just call it 40% of the shots the points that the Celtics had, he scored or assisted on, plus 9 rebounds. I mean, so there's no way that you can't say that that's I think that people fall in love with scoring. They forget how important assists are, and they don't see how often they pack the paint with him truly. Like there was another film breakdown by, I forget who the YouTuber is, but he broke down the film, every single play that Jason Tatum drove to the basket on in this game. And it is compared to Jaylen Brown, compared to any of the other players when they drove. There were 3 people sitting in the paint every time he drove.
But Luke, not to interrupt you, but like, then why drive into that cover? Because I was noticing in this game,
yes,
you're right. Because the Mavs clearly are like, well, Tatum's not going to beat us. And it's not been a good game plan for them so far because we have so many guys that can beat you. But
exactly.
You would see Tatum beat Luka, for example, off the dribble because he can beat almost anyone off the dribble.
Yep.
And then they're packing the paint, whatever. Either he misses a bunny or he tries to kick it out. But this is why it's like, to our earlier point, so shoot the ball, right? So shoot the ball. And yeah. I was watching Luka just right before this podcast, watching Luka's baskets in this game. And it's like, take a page from his book. Luka, you think of him as a tough shot maker. He's really not. I mean, he is. He makes tough shots. He makes every shot. He's the best offensive player.
He's just a shot taker.
But so many of Luka's shots are just deliberate. Like he'll like dribble to the foul line, take a little float or like a little fade away. Yeah. Like I feel like Tatum just makes it harder on himself than it needs to be. And the shots were there. Like you said, if he hits 2 or 3 or 4 more of those, we're talking about this is a great game, potentially a triple-double, 25 points, whatever. But the hesitancy and the attitude and the mindset, one of the things I wrote down was that early like fadeaway on Derek Lively.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, that just tells me everything I need to know about the way you're going to play this game.
I love that you brought that up.
You kind of know what Tatum's going to do for the whole game within the first.
I was actually just about to say, I think the issue with his play right now is that he doesn't know what he's about to do, but the other team does. And it's like, that's not a good place to be. Like, when you don't know your next move, but it's like, but they do. It's like,
well, Max, I remember when he took that shot, we both looked at each other and we were like,
okay. Yeah, immediately, right away that what kind of game he's going to have look, if he gets in a game and he has one layup that's a make, a hit 3 from the wing, and a couple of free throws in the first 5 minutes, I'm like, well, Tatum's going to score 36 and he's going to be confident in the third, fourth quarter, and it's going to be a good game for him. But as soon as I see him miss a couple bad shots or even just huck up a couple bad shots, which to your point about Lively, anybody out there watching a Celtics game, next time you see Jason Tatum at the top of the key one-on-one with a center, just know one thing: he's taking a 3-point shot. We saw it against Obi Toppin against the Pacers. We see it with Lively. We see it with Gafford. Anytime he has a center at the top of the key or anywhere on the wing, maybe above the arc, he takes a three. He does that between the leg, 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 step back, three. And it's like a well contested shot because it's these long centers who can guard the perimeter. And I just wish that he had in these moments what we've seen him have 98% of his career. We all have watched what he does. And if you're somebody who's watched the Celtics, you know it.
Wait, Lukey, just real quick before we move off him. So I did read this stat earlier
Yeah.
today. So 6 times this year, Jason Tatum has shot below 29% for a game. 6 times. Guess what a record is in those 6 games?
I bet it's good.
6-0.
6-0, baby.
6-0.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
So look,
that's weird.
then it doesn't matter. And we have
I
a
don't
guy
mean
who
anything,
can
but-
go nuclear. Okay, but enough about Tatum. Look, we all know that he's contributing to winning. Obviously, we're 2-0. Maybe if we were 0-2 or 1-1, it'd be a different story. But the decisions he's making are great. He is obviously trying to get everybody else involved, and his shot's not falling. And it's been a theme this whole postseason. But hey, we're 14-2 in the postseason. So cry me a river. Let's move on. I want to move on to there's another team in this series, right? The Celtics are not playing they're not playing the Generals. They're playing a real team. And that real team has gotten to this place because they have been a good team. And it's that team that Timmy KGB is showing. The Dallas Mavericks. Max, I want to push it to you because I want to get your perspective on what is Dallas doing wrong or what are they trying to do? But like what's going on? What's going on with Dallas?
In a way, I think like this is their system being executed but not working because we aren't feeding into it. I mean, essentially, it's just like if you don't overreact to two one-way players, but then exploit them on the other end, I don't know, it's just easier to deal with because even if Luka does have 32 like he did tonight, he has to do it and exhaust himself by the second half, and he's playing hurt. You know, you don't really have to put that much pressure on him for that to happen. Also, Kyrie is just, I don't know if it's the Boston crowd that's getting to him. I don't know. He just looks kind of shook. I mean, he just looks sort of, every time he's got JB on him or anybody, he'll get them on his hip. And he thinks like, oh, the job's over now. I just have to go up. And it's like, no, that's kind of right where our guys want to be. I mean, not every one of our guys, but like Derek White, like that's kind of the way he plays defense is like, I'm going to let you go by me, but I'm right here. Like I'm right here. I'm gonna like jump in front of you, swat it away. So again, I think he's kind of getting the looks that he wants. He's getting to a place that he wants, but our scouting report just says, yeah, that's where you want to be. So I'll meet you there. When you get there, I'll be the big guy standing in front of you. So I don't feel bad for Luka and Kyrie, but it's just like it's a game played with 5 people on 2 different sides of the ball. They're 2 guys that play one side of the ball, and nobody else has that much of a job to do. So
Yeah,
that's kind of my opinion on what they've done so far.
Yeah.
Tim, what about you? What are you seeing from Dallas?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, my thought in game 2 in general was like, not as a Celtics fan, because I am one, obviously.
What?
But
How dare you?
But just objectively, I just was like, how do they win more than a game in this series? And that sounds dismissive of Dallas, but I really I don't think it is. They can win a game.
It is dismissive.
Luka goes,
you have to give. They're good. Look, I picked Celtics in 5, but we can't underestimate what they've done all playoffs.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but not to go back through it, but yeah, like they played this Clippers team who, has all these problems, and the Dallas won, and they should have. The OKC series went 7 games, but really OKC did not play that well except for Shea. I thought. I thought a lot of those guys did not play well. Like the Jalen Williams collapse was one of the most like does if a player sucks in the playoffs in the forest and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound thing? Like no one really talked about it. He sucked in that series. I watched that series. And he
Terrible.
was really good in
Well,
the
nobody was good. Chet wasn't good offensively. They played some good defense throughout, but like
No, they did. I'm not again like, and then they had obviously Minnesota collapsed. So you're going, wow, Dallas is exposing these teams and playing great defense. I just haven't seen it
no.
in this series so far.
No.
I feel like Kid resorting to his little Lindsay Lohan burn book and in after game one is all the evidence you need. I just again it does sound like I'm being dismissive of Dallas, but Luca and we said this in the season. I want to play Dallas later.
Been
I want to
saying
play
it
Dallas
all
in the
year.
playoffs, in the finals, because Luca could get 45 and we could win. I honestly like he can go crazy and he look, give him credit. Like he's obviously hurt. He's hobbled. He came out in this game and was great. And so was Kyrie. And I was like, this
Hurt.
could be trouble, especially if we're not scoring. But as the
He's
game
not hurt.
settles in, like we just weather that. And then
Yep.
Lucas sort of just disappeared in this game. Like he really wasn't as much of a factor as the game went
Well,
on.
if I told you that Jason Tatum, who had 18 points, outscored Luka Doncic, in the fourth quarter, would you believe me?
I was gonna say.
Yeah, there
Jason
you go. I
Tatum.
mean,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
they both had terrible fourth quarters. Yeah,
Doesn't
but
matter. Jason Tatum had 5 points in the fourth quarter. The guy who was trying to overcome a lead, who's supposedly gonna be the best player in the league, only had 3 points in the fourth quarter, and he had 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter. He had 8 turnovers in this game total. 8.
Yeah.
That's a lot of turnovers. 8. And most of those turnovers, 7 out of the 8 turnovers, led to points on the other end. So
Yeah.
they were detrimental turnovers.
Well, also
Dallas,
like, yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, like,
yeah.
you know, this team just isn't. The reason I say like they just can't compete with the Celtics is maybe just a bad matchup because the Celtics don't have the best player in the series. They really don't. You
No.
can't even make the argument that they do.
One day we will.
So whatever, but it really doesn't matter, and they just can't compete with the depth of the Celtics. Like in this game, even PJ Washington, I mean, he had 17 points. That's a decent output by Washington. You're like, okay, but it's like that's the quietest 17 I've ever seen. I mean, you know, he didn't shoot well. So it's like, what is the edge that they can exploit besides Luka being great? So maybe it's Kyrie going off and going crazy. Maybe.
Yep.
I don't think that's ever going to happen in this series because of the way that we've chosen to just basically put him in jail.
Yeah.
Like, look, Kyrie wanted to go off early in this game. You could tell. I mean, there was a lot of Kyrie possessions where, you know, just doing the whole, and it was great. And he had some finishes, but like, remember that one where Jalen just stuck with him the whole time and made him like travel and like they didn't call it. And like, you know, there are just a lot of moments where Kyrie's like, man, it's my time. But the Celtics have really put him in jail, really made it difficult for him to score. So, yeah, I mean, I think they'll win a game for sure.
Yeah.
But as far as like putting the Celtics on their heels, exploiting something within the Celtics, you would think that in these games, it's like, well, Tatum's not doing enough. Well, it's like, yeah, but we've won them both. So
no, but
what
and
is
also
they can exploit?
What are the 3 things that Tim, you and I pointed to last episode? It was A, move the ball more if you're Dallas. They had 9 assists in the first game. They had 21 assists in the second game. So they did that. Still lost. Okay. We also talked about the Celtics need to go cold from 3. That's how they'll win a game. All right. Well, the Celtics shot 25%.
Yeah, they shot 25%. Yeah.
So both they moved the ball better. They had 11 more assists than they did in game 1, and the Celtics shot poorly from 3. And they still lost the game by 7, and it never felt like it was really in the balance. So it's going to take a Luka just masterpiece in Dallas, I think. And look, we're talking about Kyrie in the Garden where he stomped unlucky. We're not in the Garden in Dallas. I do think it's safe. A lot of people have DM'd me and talked to me that my take on 22.5 over was crazy for Luka. And it's a lot of Celtics fans, but like, don't be surprised. He's been doing it all playoffs. Don't be surprised if in Dallas, he like has a 40-point game. I know that sounds ridiculous, but like he is Kyrie Irving, ladies and gentlemen. But like, what do they do moving forward? You're right. I want to sit here. I don't want to give any jinxing. I don't want to give any bad juju, but I haven't seen a matchup that I haven't liked. They had one lob in that game 2, and it was that lob, like you said. So even though they had that, the Celtics did a great job of protecting that, which has been their offense throughout the entire playoffs. I'm super excited for game 3, but I do want to ask you two a question. And this is just a fun question away from stats and schematics and who did what and who scored how many and what was the field goal percentage, away from all that. 7-game series. 07-08 Celtics versus the 2024 Celtics. Who wins in a 7-game series? KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Kendrick Perkins, Rajon Rondo, obviously Leon Poe, Eddie House. I don't want to disrespect anybody else. Then we got obviously JT, JB, Derek White, Drew Holiday, KP. A lot of just like abbreviations. Hauser, Pritchard, Al. Who do you have? 7-game series, go 7. Who do you have? And they're both in this year, 2024, 2008.
So 2008, they've been playing in the current era, so their numbers are up where they would be with point inflation sort of thing.
Same two teams.
So they're still scoring like 85 points a game.
Well, but okay. How about this? Well, how about this? They face each other. The fouls are similar to how they were, like the defense, physical defense.
Right.
Is how it was.
Well, I think Missoula ball would actually be perfect to play against that style of defense because, I mean, if the percentages are what you're playing from 3, then like it's not going to have that much of an impact. So I would take the 2024 Celtics. Not that I think that they're that much better of a team. I do think certain things about it. Like I don't know what you're supposed to do about KG. Like Pierce, you have people to put on him, and
Pierce who gets
going to get his points and stuff. But like, what do you do with KG? Like Al's going to have a hard time with him, just like with sheer size.
Yeah,
he's just not going to get in his space at all. And then KP, like I don't know, might explode if KG looked at him. Like it's like you're looking at like one of
I don't know, dude. KP's there for that.
I know. I'm not putting KP down. Like as he said, he'll die on the court. I love
tough. It's tough.
It is tough.
Those are two tough mother effers. Those guys would go at each other.
Exactly.
It's a tough one. Who's going to get really exposed is Perkins. Kendrick. So we'll obviously the game plan is 2024 Celtics are trying to pull out Perkins and make him defend in space. And what the hell is this new basketball? And then they have to play like small with Tony Allen starting. And
say Tony Allen. Yeah.
The 2008 Celtics are legends, but they would lose to the modern, 2024 brand of basketball. Not just the Celtics, but a lot of different teams. Frankly, right? Don't you think? Yeah. I mean, I think that the style of play has changed so much, and the variance and all that. But
it's tough. It's tough to take one because it's like if you were to be able to even the playing field in some way. But it's an interesting comparison because you have a team in 07-08 who we watched just like have this absolute will to win super team, one of the first super teams brought together. And then you have this 2024 team that is like coming into its own, I feel like at the right time.
They're like, so different. Right. They're so different teams. Yeah.
Such different teams. And so the Celtics clearly are great at guarding a scoring point guard, scoring guard. But how do they fare against a Rajon Rondo, who is a complete passer in that situation? Like, it's somebody who's just looking to distribute. So it's just an interesting thing.
White is shutting down Rondo in that matchup.
Oh, you think so?
I mean, I really do. I think White's, especially because Rondo is a second-year player at that time. So, he's...
Can this Celtics team handle KG going full trash talk mode nonstop? We haven't seen that. We haven't seen anybody try to trash talk this team. Like,
I think they think it was kind of funny.
The '08 Celtics were like, they were dogs, man. They were dogs. Like going back and watching some of those games, they were ruthless.
Oh yeah,
They would chew your ear off, and you just don't see that in the NBA. That does factor into the game. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Would they destroy, not destroy, but would they like affect somebody's will? Like, would they really mess with Tatum? Would they really mess with even a Derek White, who's like the nicest guy on the planet? Like, would they actually be able to get in his head?
Well, luckily we don't have to find out because they're all
I
out.
know, right?
But yeah, Jesus, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have that leg up. I also think, I hate to go here, but like part of the reason why White would be able to shut down Rondo so well is like Rondo's moves have become so famous. I mean, we were just talking about this last night, Tim, when like anytime somebody does the like show and go up, it's like everybody just goes Rondo. Like no matter what team you've rooted for over the years, everybody
The
knows the
Celtic
stats.
did it
So, like,
last night.
he
Who
would go
was
to
it?
do it once, and Derek White would be like, "Oh, that thing that I've like
I think Drew.
grown up watching." Like,
Yeah.
so just hindsight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Drew. It was
Yeah, that
cool.
team just had a lot of grit, and this team has shown that they have a lot of grit, except we keep dissing the Mavs, but like, I just don't know how much grit the Mavs have. Like, I don't know how much they have really tested us in that like bruiser arena. I just don't think we've been tested with talent for sure. I mean, to Tim's point earlier, one of the quietest nights by BJ Washington, 17, quiet by Luka in game 2. I mean, he had like 23 in the first half. I didn't even realize it. We played them all year where it was like Luka would go off on us. I mean, he averaged like 37 points versus the Celtics. We were 2-0 against them.
Yeah.
It didn't like watching those games. I never felt like, oh man, Luka might win it for them. I just was always like,
came out the way he came out in this game, he seemed to be determined. But yet, like, again, the Celtics defense just wears him down like over the course of the game. We do a really good job of making him work on the other end, and like, so I think by the end of the game, Luke is just like exhausted and he's hurt too. So
no. He's
well,
not.
no, I'm just saying we're playing him the right way.
He's not. He's not. I'm sick and tired of Luka Doncic doing this. No, you know what? I'm putting my foot down here on the dribble. It's our show. I can do it. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of these new contusions popping up on the it's contusion here, contusion there. I got a contusion on my hip.
I love that band. The new
all over the place, dude.
Yeah,
He's
the new
Mr. Contusion. And
contusion.
people like watch him out there. He's fine. He is fine. And he's doing these step backs, but when he loses, it's like, but it's a banged up Luka. I've heard it all day. And a banged up Luka doing 30, 11, and 11. It's like, he's not banged up. He's fine. Like, let's stop with this crap because when he makes a shot, he moves fine. But as soon as he gets into the lane and gets a foul, he hobbles to the next side of the court.
He plays it up for sure.
Yeah,
but
it's
LeBron James part 2. It's LeBron James.
Yeah, we all know how that worked out. He hasn't won anything.
I can't stand it. Anyway, all right. Predictions for Game 3 to cap it off because we're running out of time. What do we think for predictions for Game 3? Do we think it's going to be 2-1? Do we think we're going up to the daunted 3-0?
No.
What do we think?
I think they're gonna take the elimination game in Game 4, and then we're gonna take Game 5. But I think we're gonna win Game 3. We like playing on the road. We're due for a good shooting night, so I just do think, and I think the biggest factor here is just we're refusing to play their game. That's why I immediately wanted to praise Joe here. Is like the only times that we started to play their game for like 2 minutes, he'll call a timeout, and it's just like, oh right, I forgot. That's right. We're playing our game, and they have to play our game too. And you can't win a basketball game that way. And I think we're going to keep doing that. So,
do you have any specific predictions for Game 3 or Game 4? Like,
I do think that Tatum. I'm not going to necessarily say that Tatum's going to go off, but I think he'll have 30. I think it'll be a productive 30. He might have to shoot a lot so it might not be that efficient. I also think White is kind of due for. I'm going to actually say White over 4 threes. I might say over 5 threes. I'm going to say over 5 threes just because I'm feeling saucy.
Damn, that is saucy. I'm glad you're not in Major Wager. Or I'm glad, actually, I wish you were because I'd beat you because 5 threes is absurd.
I know. Yeah, but he's done it before.
Though. I like it. Timmy, what about you? Game 3 predictions.
I hate to be like everyone else, but I sort of feel like the Celtics are going to win again.
Yeah.
I really do. This team is like I'm the most confident in this team when they go on the road. Like those game threes, like you pointed out, like we tend to really lock in. Uh, I could see us losing it if it's the Dallas crowd's gonna be awesome.
Yep.
So if it's a big
Yeah.
Dallas crowd,
Shout
like
out to
let's say that,
Dallas. Good sports town.
yeah,
Great crowd. Yeah.
maybe we get a little bit I don't know, freaked out by the atmosphere. Maybe we just like fall out of our very disciplined defensive scheme, whatever. But I feel like it's gonna be a tight game again, and I like you guys expect. I mean, for Christ's sake, like it's like mathematically, Tatum has to have a better offensive game.
Look, I'm telling you, I'm just like, put this on a t-shirt, ladies and gentlemen. Just do it. Put it on a t-shirt. He's gonna find basketball. Find basketball. He's gonna
In game
find it
three,
again.
he's finding. Is this like City Slickers, like finding your smile?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find your smile. Find your basketball.
Yeah.
Find your basketball.
He's gonna find basketball, and I'm telling you, I'm excited for game three. But I'm with you. My game three prediction, I already said it to start the pod. I think that the Celtics do take game three. I think that game four is Luka game. I think that's the game. Because again, I know he had 32, 11, and 11, but I just like when I looked at that box score, I was like, cool. I just like I didn't feel it. It didn't feel impactful. But I do
Look,
think
if
game
we
four,
win game three, like Luca's gonna be on the IR. Like Luca's not gonna be playing in game four. Let's be honest. Like
yeah,
he's gonna be
true.
like, no, I was really hurt the whole time.
That's actually true. If we win game three, he'll be like, "Oh, you guys didn't know I have contusion of the I'm a contusion.
I'm contused as heck.
I'm just I'm Luca contusion." Uh all right, guys. Well, good breakdown. Good stuff. I'm looking forward to game three. Game three, 8:30, Wednesday, ABC. Watch it. Do not miss it because it's going to be a good one. Celtics either go up 3-0, take a commanding lead in the finals, or Dallas puts a little bit of pressure on the Celtics, goes 2-1, right? We could be heading back to Boston 2-2. We could be heading nowhere back to Boston 4-0. Celtics have the championship, or we could be heading back to Boston with a clinching game. Either way, we're heading back to Boston for game five. But game three is next. Super excited. You guys going to be together watching it?
Possibly.
Probably. I don't know.
Lukey, we got to get you up here, man. We
I
got to fly
know.
you up.
Right?
This is history. In the
I know.
making.
I know. You know, funny
Then
enough,
if we
my
fly you up,
boss,
we can live stream the whatever elimination game might occur, and the people can see how weird it gets.
you know, funny enough, my boss this morning when I walked
Fired
in,
me.
he said Celtics. My boss said Celtics are up 2-0. I said, yeah, I know. And he was like, he knows I run a podcast and everything. He was like, you know, if you need time off for the parade, let me know. And I was like,
for the parade.
I was like, are you trying to Jason Kidd me and get in my head? Because don't do that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I was at the grocery store the other day and I heard a guy talking on the phone, I think to his mom, because he said mom, and he was saying that he's gonna go to the parade, get wicked drunk, dude, in his words. And and then he was clearly asked who was playing in the series. And he goes, they're playing the Spurs. Which I thought was just
playing the
left of
Spurs,
what he
Mom.
meant.
No sports.
Mom, why don't you know
Spurs would
sports?
go on the Maverick.
Luca
All right, man.
Wembanyama has been great.
Wembanyama. Well, look, we have, like I said, we have game three. And for everybody listening, we're going to be back after game three to break down whatever happens and to look forward to game four. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to do an addendum because I don't think we will be able to do that because we actually have game three, Wednesday, ABC, 8:30. But game four is Friday, ABC, 8:30. Same situation. So there's only one day between game three and game
We
four.
still will do it, dude. We're committed over here.
You know what? We do
We
it.
gotta do it.
Thank you. You know what? I'm
getting finals, Luke.
What am I doing? I'm Jason Tatum over here, and you're my Jaylen Brown.
Don't
Thank you
second
so
guess
much. Get me up. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, we will do it. And actually, let's do a post-game reaction. Let's do a real live post-game reaction. Win or lose. No, Tim. Do not back out on me now. You just were hyping me up. You were just my Jaylen Brown. Do not hide. Do not hide. Look,
Tim doesn't watch the games.
yeah, true. Tim just gets his information from First Take and comes on here. But I say we do that regardless, win or lose, drunk sad, drunk happy. We come onto this pod after the game, late night. Tim, I know you have a life, but also you don't because it's summer and you teach, and so you have nothing to do on Friday.
It's finals.
No excuses.
It's the finals, no excuses. Post game 3, maybe we do it live. I don't even know how to do that, but we'll have our reaction, and then it's ready for game 4. Maybe hoisting the trophy, maybe trying to fight for the 3-1 lead. All right, guys. Look,
Boston 3, baby.
Good breakdown of everything. We will be back. Go Celtics.
Go C's.
Go C's.
Go C's, baby.
Peace. Say it, Max. Say peace. Actually, you know what? No, everybody hold on. Max, give us the outro.
Oh, yeah.
This is the dribble. What?
No.
Wait,
Oh my
wait,
God.
I suggest we do it.
All right, Tim.
Yeah.
Tim, give us
Wait,
the-
no,
No.
that's the intro. What are you talking about? That's the intro.
But the intro is the
Yes, we
outro.
do.
The intro is the outro. All right, how about this? Reverse
Wait,
it.
what?
All right, you know what, Max? Give us the outro.
You have to give me a thing to go into. The whole thing is, and I suggest we do. So, like, what am I? And I suggest we do. That's
No,
what
Max-
Tim was
No,
literally.
the outro is just you go. You can like give me anything, and then you just say because this is the dribble. That's the
I thought that
outro.
was the
intro
intro.
is, and I suggest we do. That's going into
That's
the
the
rest.
intro too.
Well, yeah, the intro is the outro.
Look, we will be here breaking down game 3. Maybe it's live, maybe it's not, but we will have a ton to get into. And Max?
Because this is the
No.
dribble.
Max,
What are you
you're supposed to
talking
say,
about?
and I suggest we do.
What do you mean? That's the
I said-
intro.
Dude, no. I literally said,
you
Max,
just-
Max, I said,
What?
and we're going to get into all of it. And Max, and I thought you were going to say, and I suggest we do.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Yeah.
That was what you requested.
No, it's not what I requested.
Yeah. All right.
That's good. That's good stuff.
Look, we're going to get into all of it.
And I say yes, we do.
Because this is the dribble.